All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to what we hope becomes a continuation of a series of Beyond Code programs here at Broadcom, discussing some of the stuff beyond the products themselves that we actually do to help you guys be successful. So I do have a few things to cover first. First, if we have questions along the way, and we always hope that you do, please enter them into the questions box under the GoToWebinar control panel. I've already talked to our panelists today, and they've asked me to interrupt them with any questions that can come in, so we can talk about them when we're still in context. So please do that. If for some reason a question requires some extra research, I will capture all of your information and make sure the team has everything that they need to follow up with you later this week. We are recording today's session. The replay will be available out in the Mainframe education community probably later today. And the last thing from me is that we always want to make sure these sessions are valuable. So with that in mind, I pulled together a quick survey that's going to pop up at the end. If you could stick around and give us some feedback, I know that Amy, Mark, and Mark would really appreciate it. I think that's it for me. So I'm going to hand you off to Amy, Mark, and Mark.
All right, very good. Thank you, Len. Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Flanagan, and I am one of our instructional designers on the Mainframe education team. So our moderator was not able to be with us today, so we've sort of pivoted to a panel/presentation, and I'm going to attempt to be both a panelist and the moderator. So just bear with us as we experience any hiccups along the way. But today we're going to talk about customer engagement and the art of building better courses. So let's go ahead and get into it. We have our standard disclaimer slide here. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the panel objectives. Before I discuss the objectives specifically, though, I do want to mention that our conversation today centers around web-based training and digital badges, because those are offered to all of our active maintenance customers at no cost. We do, of course, continue to offer instructor-led training, and we'll touch on that a bit, but the main focus will be web-based training and digital badges. So we came up with a number of different objectives that we wanted to achieve in our discussion with you today. And the first of those is we wanted to take the mystery out of how to learn which courses are offered and how to participate in the course development process. You know, we're always asking people to participate, but maybe we're not exactly clear on how you can do that. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about how we're communicating right now. We want to ensure that everyone knows what we have to take advantage of. And so we want to sort of find out if we're doing it the right way or what we can improve on, and of course, why we would want to improve. The other topic that I know I'm excited to share with you is to provide some examples about how we've taken the customer feedback that we have received so far and how we've used that to improve access to learning at Broadcom and how that feedback has influenced our course and digital badge development. We're going to talk finally about web-based design trends, how we're applying them, and their impact on course consumption. Oh, and of course, we'll have a little bit of a roadmap for you to let you know what's coming and what we've finished in the last 6 months. Now, as Len mentioned, we do have some polling questions. I promise they are very short. And the reason we're asking those questions is to help guide our conversation today and, of course, use that information in the future to help us there as well. So with that, I'm going to transition over to our panel and have them introduce themselves. So Mark Hunter, would you like to go ahead, get us started?
Sure, thanks, Amy. Yes, I'm Mark Hunter. I'm an instructional designer, been working with the actually enterprise software as well as now the mainframe, primarily focused on security products, some of the databases, Datacom, IDMS, as well as some of the traditional management infrastructure products.
Great, thank you, Mark. Mark Vogler, let's hear about you.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Mark Vogler. I am an instructional designer here at Broadcom. I've been with Mainframe now for a little over 14 years. I've dabbled a little bit in all of the products, and right now I'm really focused on DevOps and Open Mainframe. So that's my area of focus today.
Thank you, Mark. And then, of course, Angelica Giraldo is our fourth team member. She wasn't able to be here with us today. She's our program manager and sort of helps us ensure that we're working on the right stuff, as well as many other responsibilities that she takes care of. So Len, with that, I think we are ready to go to our first set of survey questions. And these are 3 questions that sort of focus around the idea of communication and implementing customer feedback.
All right, so we just launched the first poll. It is being distributed right now.
Okay.
For our longtime webcast attendees, we understand it takes a few seconds sometimes. So we'll leave it out there while folks start to vote, and we'll see how quickly the votes come in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, responses are starting to come in. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And Amy, when we closed the poll, did you want me to share the results?
Yeah, if you could, please.
Of course, of course. All right, so we'll give everyone another 10 seconds or so.
Okay.
And so far as the community manager, I'm very happy with the results.
Yeah, I thought you
All
might
right.
like our topics here.
3, 2, 1. All right, let's share the results.
Good results.
All right, and let's should we move on to the second one?
Sure.
That's the other community one, right? Yeah. This is a fairly quick one, and I think, and just looking at our attendee list, I recognize, I think, almost every name. So this should be a landslide. Here's hoping. And all right, votes are starting to come in. Let's say another 10 seconds.
Okay.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's close, and we'll share those results briefly.
That's good news.
It is. And for those 21%, now we'll know who to reach out to invite them to join it. So that's which is the whole point, isn't it? All right, let's move on to the third one. It's being distributed. Votes are starting to come in.
Very good.
And let's say another 10 seconds again. All right, close and share.
Excellent again.
Yeah. And again, that lets us know who we need to reach out to help them understand where to find things. So I'm going to hide the results, and then your screen should be back in charge, Amy.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to answer our questions. It does look like we have some good visibility, but of course we are always aiming for 100% visibility. So Mark Vogler, the very first discussion topic is to you, our mainframe education community. For the people on the call who maybe aren't as familiar with it, or maybe are folks who do know it but don't have an opportunity to visit that often, could you talk with us a bit more about the community and how someone would sign up for it?
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say, I'm not sure. I still have the poll results on my screen, so I'm not sure if it refreshed for everyone or if it's just my screen. Either way is fine.
I'm seeing it too, which is interesting. I've never ever seen it linger like this before. Not sure there's anything that I can do over here. Hold on, let's try this again. Yeah, it should be showing your presentation, Amy, but it's not.
Okay.
Amy, I don't want us to get sidetracked too much, but do you still see the poll up on your screen?
No, I do not.
That is interesting. All right. Keep talking. I'm going
Okay.
to, Amy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ball back, and then I'm going to give it back to you, and you can reshare, and hopefully that will clear it for us.
Okay. All righty.
Absolutely. So essentially, I just wanted to touch base on getting to the community. And from the Broadcom site, once you get to the Broadcom site, there's actually a communities drop-down list. And you can go directly to the Mainframe software communities list, the landing page. And from there, there is a link that'll bring you directly to the education site. That is where we focus our two-way communication. So that's where we're going to look for your feedback as well as share all of our comments. Oh, there we go.
And we're back.
So you can see the first box shows the communities, the main page, the communities, mainframe software, the landing page, the link to get to the education communities page. But again, the real piece of the puzzle here is this is our main way of communicating with you. So this is where we're going to reach out. This is where we're going to post comments, feedback. This is where we're going to announce courses, announce our initiatives. And this is where we hope to get feedback from you. This is also where we will post content. And in a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of that additional content that you can find out here. But this is key to us. LinkedIn is great for us announcing a course. Twitter is great for us to announce a course, but we're not going to announce initiatives on those platforms. By the way, love the fact that you guys use communities. We do cross-pollinate into other communities. So for example, if I'm posting something about an Endeavor course, I will also post in the Endeavor community so that I'm reaching out into multiples. Same thing coming back to us, but it is very important that this is our main source of communication. And for those of you who put other on those poll questions, if you can take a minute and type into the question box or the chat box, what are those other tools that you use? That would be great information for us as well. We'd love to know. So I'll turn it back over to you, Amy.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes and share two examples of how we use communities for outreach. And this is a pretty cool one, actually. So this first example, I was working with the Ops MVS team to make some ops log training, and we started the project the way we typically do. We gathered the stakeholders, we looked through our existing content, and we came up with a list of content that we thought would be good. So typically, I would just get right to work on it, and then I would bring in customers later in the process. But this time, before I so much as typed a single thing, I put this out into communities. I mean, right down to the details of these are the topics we're going to cover, and can you tell me if you like them or not? And it turned out that there were many things that we had missed. And we ultimately ended up with a much longer list of suggestions. We had contributions from customers at 5 different companies. And as a result, we had our first ever crowdsourced course. And we were able to, I mean, there were things that we hadn't even thought of, but that 2 or 3 different customers said, hey, this is important to us. You should get it in there. So that was the first one I wanted to share. And it was, very, very easy to do, just a few minutes of back and forth between myself and the customers. So it was a terrific experience and one I certainly hope to repeat. Now, the other one we have in process right now, I'm sharing because it's a different kind of example. So that first example was for something that has been around for decades, but this next one is for something that is on the horizon, and that is for DB2 DevOps. So there were only a specific number of things that we would include in training at this point. And so those topics are listed there: installation, configuration, and commands and use cases. So in this case, it wasn't so much a matter of finding out what to include, more a matter of how to present it. What would be the most useful if you were using this and getting set up? You know, questions like, do you want the installation to be a video demo? How many sections should this be? 3 courses? Should this be 1 course? And then the final question, which is actually really pretty crucial to what we do, and probably very crucial to you as far as when you're going through the training. Because we always struggle with, when we're writing training about commands, is it better to sort of make it engaging and, something a little bit more creative, or is it just, we just want the commands, we want the use case, and show me how this works? So that is a question I think we could ask about just of all of our courses. So this one is still out there, so feel free to provide comments if this is something that's interest of you. And even if you're not going to be using this particular feature in general, go out there and tell me, especially for question number 3, how you'd like this kind of information to be shared. So now that I'm done with this, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Mark
Amy,
Hunter. Yeah.
If I could just jump in here real quick.
Sure.
I just want to make the point that this is a great question, and having it posted on the education group opens it up for everyone's feedback. So just because it's for DB2, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have the DB2 tool in your arsenal at your site. If you have an opinion on how you like to learn, please give us that feedback, even if you don't use DB2. It's critical to us, and we can use that. This same information that comes in on this particular thread, we all see. So we can all use this information. Please always share, regardless of whether or not you use the product or not.
Good
Sorry.
point. No, that was a good thing to reinforce. Thank you, Mark. So Mark Hunter, I want to go ahead and pivot over to you at this time to address, we had one question about the course catalog, because that is something we do get questions on a fairly regular basis. So could you just go through very quickly where we have that, and then also where a customer would look if they are interested in education for a specific product?
Yeah, sure. Right. Thanks, Amy. Yep, looks like in the survey we had over 80% said, yep, they know where the course catalog is, so that's good. But I will take a few minutes just to kind of cover that, as well as another thing here, so that everybody knows where that's at. Thanks for the slide, Amy. So here on this slide, you've seen this. This was the community slide that Mark Vogler just showed. About in the middle of the page, down below in that first red box, you'll see a link. That's to the link to the Mainframe course catalog. Now, the catalog has individual sections for web-based training, instructor-led courses, and digital badges, and all those are all organized by product. And then also any new and updated courses in the digital badges are listed in the first section of the catalog. So it's really easy to find the courses that we've released over the last 6 months. So now going to kind of a little bit further, if you want more specific information about a product, what trainings are available for a specific product, we want to check out the product course lists. And you can see on that same screen, same page, at the bottom there in the other red box, we have the product course lists. Again, these are by product, so you can pick a product and get that product course list. You want to go to the next slide, Amy? I haven't seen it yet. Has it changed?
Yes.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Just a delay on my side, looks like. So here you can see some examples of the product courses. These are the products listed in here are grouped by role, so it's easy to find the courses, say, for an administrator versus an implementer versus just a user. You can use the second column there. There's a course code, which is you can use that as a search term in Learning Broadcom to help find that course. It's also a direct link to a full course description that has more information about and more details about that specific course. You might notice a difference here. Some of these are labeled product courses. We've got one there that says learning path. It's really all the same information. They all contain the same information. The thing is we're moving more toward the product courses, because as we build these shorter task and scenario-based content, there may not necessarily be a path to take for the listed courses. So again, we're going more toward that learning or that product course name, but again, they'll still be the same information, and they'll still be focused by role, grouped in role for the courses. Now, both the catalog and the product course list are updated weekly in the communities, so as new courses become available. So just be sure you check out the Mainframe Education community page for the latest versions.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Back to you, Amy.
And you know, I think too, some of what you talked about here is going to tie in nicely when we get to where we're talking about trends as well. So we, you know, can come back, refer back to this idea. But at this point, Len, actually, we are ready for our second and final set of questions. And these questions are designed to help us ensure that we're building the content that meets your needs. So Len, whenever you're ready, if you can go ahead and put those up for us.
All right, here we go.
And while people are taking this, we did receive a couple of questions that
Okay.
loaded in. So one of the questions was, when I'm looking at course names, I often see a number at the end of the course title. What's that used for? So in the US, colleges generally have a course level at the end. So they'll have like a 101 for a basic, 201 for more of an intermediate, 301 for a little more advanced. So we've adopted that format, and it's kind of married throughout our systems. As we've come to understand, that is not a universally adopted format. So you'll see more and more often now our courses will say introduction to, or user fundamentals, or intermediate skills. So we're tying the names and that number together so that it becomes a more universal title. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Let's go about another 10 seconds on the poll because folks are still voting. All right, let me share the results. Okay, let me hide and then we'll ask the second one. All right, the second one in this group is being distributed.
Another question that popped up is, what's the difference between an instructional designer and a course developer? Well, in most instances, they're very similar. In a academic environment, instructional designers are focused on how adults learn. So they're more focused on how the content is being perceived and less about how it's being pulled together. The course developers take the information from the instructional designers and actually physically build that content. Here at Broadcom, our instructional designers really are course developers as well. So those terms can be used interchangeably here.
Thanks, Mark. Let's see, we'll do, people are still voting, so we'll do another 10 seconds or so. All right, thanks very much. And then we'll share the results. I think that's good feedback for the team.
This is excellent.
And let's move to the third one, which is about digital badges.
Another question, why can't I find a course my coworker can find?
Oh, that's a
That's a
good one.
really, really great question. And we're going to discuss that in a few minutes, but in a nutshell, it all boils down to how your account is set up. But we're going to dig a little deeper into that. If your coworker has an account with a site ID, they're going to see more content than you may if you do not have that site ID set up. So we're going to dig a little deeper into that in a little bit.
Great, and folks are still voting, so we'll do another 5 to 10 seconds. Hopefully get a few more votes. All right, thank you everybody. Let's share those results. So it looks like we have some folks that aren't aware of our badge program, so that's something else for us to follow up with. And then the last one today, there we go. Still distributing. All right, votes are starting to come in now. People are still voting, so we'll leave it out there for at least another 10 seconds or so.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, looks like the voting has slowed, so let's close that and share the results.
That is very telling.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. All right, let's hide those. Amy, you should be able to share your presentation again. I saw that you stopped sharing it, which might actually solve our problem. We'll see if it works better this way.
All right, can you see it?
Not yet.
Not yet. All I see is the three cameras.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for answering those questions for us. It sounds like we've gathered some very valuable information there. So the first thing I want to talk about, actually it goes straight back to what Mark was talking about before, as far as, you know, my coworker can see this course, but I can't. And that's accessing Learning at Broadcom. And I share this as a really terrific example of how we were able to take customer feedback and work and make improvements. So, you know, we want everyone to be able to get to our content and our digital badges. And sometimes it was really hard to get to. Prior to February of this year, it could be very frustrating to get to Learning at Broadcom. So when we learned that Broadcom as a whole was going to be updating their support portal, we made sure that we had a voice at that table. And actually, I think it was mostly Mark Vogler who was that voice for us, along with Donna Amaral. And as a result, I am very happy to tell you it is so much better now to get into Learning at Broadcom. And to sort of illustrate that, we went from, I think we had a 2-minute video, and we had a 9-page document that had all the ins and outs of how you might log in and problems you might encounter and so on and so forth. So I was very happy to retire those. And now, to sort of illustrate how much easier it is, we have a 1-page quick ref. And the quick ref, the page you're going to look at is you either have an existing support.broadcom.com account or you're brand new to support.broadcom.com. And as Mark mentioned, if your brand new, or if you can't see the courses that you should be seeing, you need to just go and grab your site ID, and this little document here will take you through the process. So I'm going to take just a second and share a couple of screens that really illustrate how much better it is. So we've got your logon right at the top there. Now the cool thing is here, you log in and now you're going to see this dashboard. And literally all you have to do is scroll down a little bit and click in that education button, and then you're in. So it's multiple steps shorter and much more intuitive than it was before. While we're on this screen, I want to take up the opportunity to highlight the global search box at the top. We have found that consistently delivers better results. And of course, you can search by keyword, course name, or course ID. So with that, since we've been talking about courses, why don't we take a little look at some of our roadmap stuff? So Mark Vogler, can you talk to us about what we've brought out in the last 6 months and what we're planning for the future?
Absolutely. We'll touch on it fairly quickly, but yeah, next slide. So over the past 6 months, we've released courses, in many cases, multiple courses for all of these products. So you'll see products like Gen and Spool and XCOM and some courses for Endeavor. We've updated courses for Endeavor and updated courses for Brightside and re-released those. So there's a number of new courses that have just been released in the past 6 months. And these courses continue. We're releasing them on a regular cadence. So there's constant updates to these courses as well. Do you want to go forward? Sure.
Yep.
And then what's in our backlog that we're working on currently? So you can see there's more courses for Datacom, IDMS, CA7, all of these products, and many, many more. Every week we have meetings. Every week we discuss new products, new courses that we're working on that we're going to be releasing. So this is just to give you a slight taste of what's coming down the road, but there'll be many, many more products to include into this list.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. And actually, while I have here, and since we didn't plan this, but you just mentioned roads. So
Yes.
our next graphic happens to feature a road. So I'm hoping you can also tell us a little bit about learning trends and how, things were a few years ago, how we're adapting and what we're looking for to try and learn whether we need to fine tune what we're doing even more.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So when I first started 30, 40 years ago in the instructional design workspace, everything was instructor led. You had to have an instructor in order to have a successful course. Over time, we've moved from instructor led to supplement that with web-based training or WBTs. Sometimes they're referred to as self-paced trainings, SPTs. But a big push here at Broadcom over the past probably 10 years has been away from that large commitment that the instructor-led training demands. Sometimes, for example, Endeavor would have a 60-hour course, instructor-led course, where you were committed to 60 hours, which is a week and a half that you would be away from your desk, away from your day-to-day operations. So we've committed to turning those into WBTs and offering those as WBTs. Now, we haven't moved fully away from instructor-led trainings. There's still situations with instructor-led trainings where they're very valuable. Very complex topics can benefit from instructor-led training. But web-based training seems to be the sweet spot. Most people enjoy the web-based training. They can start and stop them. They can take them at their own leisure. They can take them in 15-minute increments. You'll also notice that our web-based trainings are considerably smaller. We've built them into curriculums. So instead of that 60-hour Endeavor course, it's now 12 under 1 hour courses. So considerably less time to consume that same courseware. Now, that begs the question, often asked, how can the WBTs be so much quicker to take than the instructor-led course? And the fact is, instructor-led courses are by nature a longer experience. You have the instructor there, you have students there, the students are going to ask questions. The labs are open-ended, so students explore and they'll ask questions on the labs. You'll also always train to the least experienced person in the room. So all of that lends that you'll have some situations where you'll have a student who is racing to catch up, and you'll have other students who are kind of sitting back waiting for the next step. Again, reason why WBTs become so important. Us shortening the length of time for WBTs is also a trend that we're following. And frankly, I always thought we were up there. We were doing great with that. And there's more for us to tackle. A few years ago, I attended a conference on training, and one of them was reducing the size of your courses. And I was sitting in the front row and very excited to say, you know, here at Broadcom, we've reduced our courses. We used to have 60-hour, 80-hour WBTs, and now we're doing 1-hour WBTs. Isn't that phenomenal? And they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And then the person who was presenting asked the question, how long is everyone's WBTs? And come to find out that everyone else in the room had courses that were usually under 15 minutes, closer to 10 minutes. So I'm sitting there going, yay us, we're 45 minutes to an hour, and everyone else is sitting there at 15 minutes. So we have a ways to go, and we're going to continue to work on that and reduce the length of our courses and make them smaller and tighter. And based on your own survey that you just took, where you're doing that quick, I want to find the reason and get out, it lends itself to task-based curriculums. So instead of making larger courses, we focus down to a single task, which will by default make that course that much shorter. Amy?
Oh, that's great, Mark. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that polling data too with the larger group. So at this point, we've talked about some of the ways that we've been able to apply customer feedback and make improvement. We looked at learning at Broadcom. Mark shared his experience regarding course length and talked about how we are steadily working to make them even smaller. But I was hoping, Mark Hunter, you could talk a bit about, we have one other method that we use to get communication from our customers about how we're doing and what we can improve. And that revealed a couple of challenges too. So can I go ahead and turn that over to you?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Gonna go to the next slide.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we are listening to feedback, and we're always looking for more feedback. Last fall, we had our Net Promoter Score NPS survey, and we asked a specific question about product education in that survey. So we reviewed all those comments. We were able to respond to customers who had specific requests. We followed up to get more information when required. You can see here on this slide, these are some of the responses that we received. These, like some others, were centered around awareness challenges. So like in most cases, we actually had the content that was requested, we just weren't getting the word out. So that's kind of where our emphasis today is on improving how we get that word out and where we're communicating with you so you know where the courses are and what's available. Now, we just don't want to wait for these yearly surveys. So we also we have course surveys that are available when you complete a course in Learning at Broadcom. Now, from the poll results, not everybody's completing the courses because you're finding the information, before without having to actually complete the course, which is great. And in the smaller courses, we'll continue to help that. We also are talking about, like we mentioned, reaching out and following posts in the communities, in discussions in the education community, as well as the specific product communities. So again, we're trying to find out more information from you. We're welcome your feedback. Please keep sending us your feedback any way that you can get it to us. Continue to use it to kind of build out the courses, build the right courses for you. It's going to help you do your job better. You're learning our products. So that's it. Anything else, Amy?
Not on this topic. In the interest of time, I'm going to pivot us rather quickly over to digital badges and address some of the feedback we got there. First, let's take a quick look at the digital badges that we released in the last 6 months. As you can see there, again, we've hit a variety of products. And now let's go ahead and see what's on our roadmap. It looks like we have a couple for Endeavor and another Datacom one planned for the near future. But now I'd like to talk a little bit more about the badges themselves. And we have learned that sometimes, even when we're working with customers to pilot a badge with us, sometimes we see some hesitation. And a lot of that seems to be born in a worry that, well, I have to know all of this stuff before I take it, and I need to be an expert before I take this. But that's not necessarily the case. So Mark Hunter, I've got you up here one more time. If you can share with us some things that customers should keep in mind when they're earning a badge. I mean, we do have them at this point we have 37 badges against a whole slew of products. And so let's take a look at just a few things, getting back to our communication thing that you just discussed, that's important for people to know when they're considering earning a badge.
Sure. Yeah, so like Amy mentioned, the digital badges, the assessments that we write and the tests that we're making for the digital badge assessments, they're not intended to be a test of your memory. We don't expect you to remember everything off the top of your head. So these tests are designed and able to taken as open book or open anything, right? If you don't know something off the top of your head, you can be a product pro, not knowing everything, but you do know, maybe not off the top of your head, but you know where and how to find that information. So again, if you're taking the test, feel free to have the product running in front of you, even have it open the training, have the documentation open. All that can be open and available to you while you're taking the test. To kind of help you out with this, on the Credly page, if you go to the product, any of the Credly badge pages, they list related courses and or documentation that's good for you to know for that particular badge. So you might want to review those before and actually bring those up and have those available to you while you're taking the badge assessment.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
Kind of going back to some, I was just going to kind of say back on the customer feedback.
We did
get some customer feedback on the badges that we had, and we've changed the number of attempts, right? We used to have a limit to the number of attempts you could try the badge. Now we have no limit anymore, and that was based directly on customer feedback. So again, using your feedback and trying to make this a better experience for everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mark. I think we are nearing the end of our portion here. I do want to thank everyone for attending today. This information that we've gathered, it will be very valuable to us. And if you only do one thing after watching and listening to our program today, please go out and get in that Broadcom mainframe education community and set it up so you get an email summary once a week or whatever works for you to keep track of what's going on and see if there's anything you'd like to jump into. I do have one other item actually, and that is a quick plug for our Mainframe Technical Exchange. It's going to be virtual this year, October 4th through 6th. There is no cost to attend for Broadcom customers, and there will be dozens of presentations. We'll have our product teams there. We will have mainframe experts there. The three of us will probably be there. And there's just all kinds of terrific sessions. There's roundtable opportunities. So go ahead and bookmark the event page to stay updated on that. You'll have that when the presentation is over today. So Len, that's all we have. Did we have any other questions or anything we should address?
I should take myself off mute. The only other question that came in was, is a site ID still required? And what about consultants or freelance developers who might not have a site ID?
I'm just jotting that down. That is one that we will have to follow up on.
Actually, Amy, I
Or you
can
know it?
answer that.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful.
The site ID is still required. All of our courses are available through the e-learning library, but it is still required. If they're a partner, they can access it through a partner portal via a partner site ID. But for the time being, all of our courses are tied to a maintenance agreement. That is the commitment that the Mainframe software division has made. So the site ID is a necessary byproduct of that.
Excellent,
Thanks, Mark.
Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's it for the questions. Folks, thank you very much. Amy, Mark, and Mark, great job today, as expected. We really appreciate it. And folks, a reminder that a post-event survey is going to pop up when I close the session, and you can look for the replay of this webcast out in the Mainframe education community later today or early tomorrow morning. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.